Hello everyone, welcome to Roma Theory. We're back with the Roman talk, pre-Derby Roman talk. We're back with Chris, the man, the myth, the legend. What are we saying? What a week. 3 days to go.
I mean, well, first off, what would you find as an acceptable score to this game?
Oh,
Like the
bold.
minimum acceptable score. I know you
Um,
don't like to make predictions.
yeah, look, I have to be honest with you. As long as we win on Saturday, I'd be the happiest man on earth. But if I had to call for a prediction, 3 days before the Derby, I'm going to go 3-0 to us.
3-0. Wow, I love that. To me, I was going to say two, like 2-0 or 3-1, something like that. It needs to be a two-goal differentiation because if you think about it, every game that they've won in these derbies have been by one goal in the
Yeah.
last during the Jose era. It was 3-2 and then 3-1 nothings. And then our only win was 3-0, and so we won decisively, and that's what I want to see again. And so that's what my main thing is. We're coming off of a very weak performance against Lecce. We were talking about this in the chat. I think honestly, I think that performance was unacceptable because
It
everybody's like, "Oh,
was.
international break. This is the excuse or whatever." But to me, Atalanta, Milan, Inter, Lazio, Bologna all came back with wins after the international break. And so they came back mentally prepared. What was it about us? What do you think it was? Do you think that we got I know you did the match reaction, but just as a recap, was it DDR's fault with too many rotations in the formation? What do you think it was?
I definitely think I didn't like the formation. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I am. I've had enough of Zaleski. I have. I mean, he's just not performing, especially like we gave him hope, we gave him time, convert him to a winger, but it's been 3 months now that he's been playing as a winger and he's not bringing anything to games. So I think starting with Zaleski, who isn't a good player in my opinion, and Baldanzi, who will become a good player, but right now we can't really say that he's playing phenomenally, and then you leave Lukaku stranded by himself. That formation was a bad formation. It was a weak formation, but I also think that the international break didn't help because it breaks the rhythm. I think if we played that game 2 weeks before, we would have won confident, even 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm not going to argue with you on that one. I do think that we are in a dangerous territory of falling back to that Mourinho mindset where he was afraid for rotations. That's the reason why we were so tired at the end of these seasons because he was so traumatized by the Udinese 4-0 loss, or was it 4-1? Either
Yeah,
way, they scored 4
4-0.
on us, and then also the Bodo Glimt. And so in those situations, those rotations traumatized him. So he never really, he maybe made one or two subs when he had to, but and then we just definitely need all around on this game. We need our midfield needs to come correct. They got dominated against Lecce. I mean, it was embarrassing. And so when Bove was losing the ball way too much, was getting dominated on his matchup. So yeah, man, like that Lecce game makes me nervous, but I do like that Juve knocked Lazio down a peg,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
humble them a little bit. Because if Lazio would come out with at least a draw and if not a win, then they'd be on a high. So yeah, I think we're set up good, and our draw against Lecce was a wake up call.
Yeah, yeah. I just obviously I mentioned this yesterday. End of a new cycle. Mourinho and Sarri cycle is over. Start of a new cycle. De Rossi against Tudor, both young managers, inexperienced managers. One's a club legend. The other one they say is a club legend, but that's the club legend that Lazio have. To be honest with you, the only thing I remember about Tudor is Totti going like that to him. So if that is what a club legend means to them, then bring it on.
Yeah.
But I just want to dive back in the past just for this one question, and then we're gonna focus on it for the future. But you know, Mourinho against Sarri, the Mourinho against Sarri era. Mourinho brought a Conference League and brought Roma to a Europa League final, and Sarri won the majority of derbies and made Lazio qualify second with Juventus deduction of points last season. If you had to pick, who had the most successful season?
Oh
Like,
man.
period, era, not season.
Well, not to stray too far off the path here, but if you look at the history of the Roma derby, right? Back in the day in Italian football, the early 1900s, the Scudetto and the championship meant far less to at least Romans than the Derby. The Derby meant everything. As long as
Yeah.
you won the Derby and you could finish mid-table, you were fine. And so that was everything because regional pride. Everybody was kind of fighting over which region was the real Italy, represented the proper Italy, and so the Derby has always been more important. And so, but obviously, in terms of international football, the way that it's progressed nowadays, Jose was far more successful. I would take our outcomes in the season along with our losses in the derbies. If I had to choose between the outcomes that Lazio had, winning derbies and making Champions League, and then getting kicked out of Champions League and Europa, versus what we went through, I would take our timeline
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, I agree. I mean,
So,
of course it's going to be biased, because Lazio fans would never say this. I mean, Lazio fans keep on saying that the Conference League is a trophy that they never want to win. Um, but I have to agree. I think, the just lifting a trophy is ultimately what football is about. So, no matter if it's a league trophy, league title, Conference League, Europa League, it's as a Roma fan, we need to be honest and say that we haven't lifted many trophies. So any trophy that we lift is special to us. And Anthony Taylor robbed the second one, because if Anthony Taylor hadn't been the referee of that game, then I mean, for me it's unpredictable to kind of predict where we would be if we would have won that final. But it
uh,
went like that, and
I mean, I know for a fact Jose would still be here. That's for
yeah,
sure. I mean, there's just because I mean he's not over that final. His anger and bitterness and everything obviously carried over into this season, and and obviously the anger and bitterness not just towards UEFA but towards the owners and just overall, his bitterness towards individual players. It just carried over. But yeah, he would still be here. We'd be in a completely different scenario. Who knows if we would have been kicked out of Champions League by now? But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to dwell on it. If we had just lost 3-0, I'd be fine with it. I'd be
yeah, I
done.
agree.
You
I
know,
agree.
so it's just crazy. But and in another situation, I went back and I was watching some highlights just to freshen up for this talk. Looking at highlights of the last derbies, and even the penalty given on Hoytson's like during the derby when they went for that 50-50 ball. If you had taken that, I mean, Mourinho called that a modern foul, right? And if you'd seen that situation 5 years ago when we didn't have VAR, that's not a penalty because it just looks like two players going for a 50-50. But just if you break it down from frame by frame by
Yeah,
frame, and so I mean, I know you were being apologetic, for Dean that entire time, being like, listen, that's a weak foul, and we never really blamed him for that. So even that one loss, I know we have a 4-1-1 uh, record with Mourinho against Lazio. I don't really accept that loss, and I don't think that that's
yeah.
a true one, even though we were dominated. It was a very boring and weak first half. But but yeah, honestly, I think that these players are hungry. It's a different scenario. Our performance against Lecce doesn't really scare me that much because I mean, think about De Rossi as your coach at this level, being like, are you? I mean, just imagine going into halftime losing. You know, like he going to that locker room like, are you serious right now? Are you serious? Who do you know who I am? Do you know how much this means to me? And so I think that won't even need to be said. Everybody out there is going to be playing like DDR has the armband and that he's out there like and they're representing for him. So I'm not even scared about Saturday. I'm really not.
I'm a bit nervous, but I agree that De Rossi makes me more confident. Had there still been Mourinho in this game, I would have been way less confident. I think if we win this game, it's because of De Rossi. Because realistically speaking, the majority of the current Roma players don't understand and don't feel the Roman derby. The only player who could understand and feel it and breathe kind of the tension is Bove in this current team. So you need somebody who really makes these players understand what it means to be playing this game. And I think De Rossi is giving us hopes. I mean, I'd be very curious to see what he says in the press conference, how he prepares for this game, because it's not going to be easy. I mean, how do you think he is going to prepare for this? Doing his usual rituals like he did as a football player? Because it is very interesting. You know, new manager, 3 months into his job, basically. Rome Derby, he scored in a few. He was the captain in a lot of them. What will he feel as the
I think he's
manager
going
this
to
time
come.
around?
I think he's going to come humble to the press conference beforehand. He's going to come humble. He's going to keep his head down, not try to talk too much shit and rile up the opposition. Um, but yeah, it's actually very very strange because he is very diplomatic. He's way more diplomatic behind that mic in those press conferences than Mourinho. And
Yeah.
so I think that he's not going to do anything that's going to motivate the other team. Another thing from the opposite perspective, when it comes to Tudor, when he took that loss to Juve yesterday, it was almost like he almost like threw his hands up. It's like, what could we do against a team like this? You know,
Yeah.
it's like this team would play against Real and City at this form, and to me, that seemed like actually a Mourinho response. You know, the way Mourinho would be like, "This, what am I supposed to do with these players?" You know, and so Tudor's response to their loss was actually, in my opinion, if I was a player for him, would be far more impactful than anything the opposing coach could say. So I think De Rossi just needs to keep his head down, stay humble, and not light that fire under them. And then the real fire that he says that he spits needs to be in the locker room to Roma, not at the press conference.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, sorry, go ahead. What's your take on it, though?
No, I just wanted to add one thing because you actually said something very interesting about what Tudor said yesterday, which he then added something. Casale, the Lazio defender, yesterday had a stinker of a game. Juventus' second goal was his fault. And then Tudor went in front of the microphones post game and said, well, Casale was at fault for that second goal, but you can't really blame him because over these past 48 hours he barely slept because his wife had a child. And I listen to that. I'm not a Lazio fan, so I have nothing to say against that. But if I'm a Lazio fan, I listen to that and I go, what the hell did he just say? You are basically saying that this guy shouldn't have been subbed in because he's barely ever slept over these past 48
Right,
hours. And you
right.
and you put him in? I mean, what on earth are you on about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was saying. Tudor to me is not a motivating or good coach. I think he's you can actually sit back and wait for him to make mistakes, and I think that that's probably going to be DDR's approach. And if you also look at the difference in approaches, let's talk about what you said yesterday in your live stream. You said with the Derby, it's it's a game that is it's defined by individual moments and individual mistakes, and that kind of sums up the Jose era when it comes to our losses. You know, I mean the 3-2 loss. I mean they scored three against us, so I mean you can't really. That was the first loss that we took. But if you look at one of the losses, you know, like you said, very very shitty call. But then the other one, Zalewski mistake. Another one, Ibanez mistake. Another one, Ibanez mistake again. And so we have three losses where we have a situation where we play defensive football and we let them have the ball. And you can't make those type of stupid mistakes when you let them have the ball all the time. You know, you need to be solid. And so I think the difference in approach with DDR and the way that they are on the attack constantly I think it's actually gonna surprise Lazio, and they won't know what to do. I think we'll dominate the first half, and I think the second half will be some adjustments, but hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of some chances in the first half by surprising them.
Yeah, definitely. This, derby is at the end of the day decided by moments. The only thing that I have criticized and I will continue to criticize about these last derbies is just the idea of not playing and the idea of only defending because you're scared to lose.
Yeah,
If you lose a derby, you lose a derby. If you win a derby, you win a derby. But I can tell you as a matter of fact that I'd rather lose a derby 3-2 than losing a derby 1-0, because I would rather put my face into the game and try and win, and maybe it's not my day and I concede 3 goals, but I score 2, than watching a terrible game, nothing, no teams create anything, and then Lazio win because of a penalty. That's not what a derby means to me. I think you have to be brave enough to play a game, and I'd rather we risk a high defense and want to win the game than park 11 players in the box because we're scared to lose the game, if you see what I mean.
right, right. And yeah, I know another thing is I also think there's a lot more on the line for us than there is for Lazio.
Yeah, I
Lazio's
agree.
waiting for a gift. But we're still right there on the cusp, and we're still competing. And so I think that's going to be an additional element that'll be in the back of everybody's minds. So yeah, man, I'm not even scared. I'm really not, especially with Sviar. Sviar he had an amazing game against Lecce, and so that's another thing that makes me confident because you know I'm not saying he would have saved everyone, but I think that he would have saved at least Zakagni's goal that he scored on Zalewski.
Yeah.
There was a few ones that were like reaction time or whatever. And then the last thing I'm going to say is that obviously I want to win, but the last thing I want to see is Pedro scoring. So as long as
Oh, that's
what's
a
funny
nasty one. I forgot
is
about him for a second.
what I forgot is that he actually, until I went back, he scored in the last derby he played for Roma. He scored
Oh
for
yeah,
Roma.
oh yeah, yeah. It was that. I remember that game. It was the most pointless Rome derby over the past 20 years
Yeah,
because it was lockdown period, so no fans in the stadium, and then it was like the last game week of the season where Roma was already in the Europa League and Lazio was already I don't know where. But yeah, I
mm,
do remember that game. Pedro. Oh god.
yeah. As long as he doesn't score, as long as we shut him down, then that's like the bare minimum for me. But yeah, man, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1. That's what we
Does
want.
this game decide our season?
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing I didn't say. Like if we lose this game, it's done. I mean, I
So
think
if we lose this game, you think we're not gonna get UCL?
I don't think so.
Okay. And if we win this game, chances still
I mean,
hard.
it's still difficult, but I think that it would still in the running. But somebody said in the chat, I think it was Francesco, in the WhatsApp chat, that said, the next 5 games are going to dictate this our season. Like next five, no, this game on Saturday is the all and be all. So yeah, because then everything else is just kind of like the same. We'd be in the same situation that we were in last year, where it was like we needed all the stars to align for us to make
Yeah.
it. It was like we needed more luck than we did skill by that time. And I think if we don't win Saturday, then we're in that territory.
I see.
So
I mean, I have a dream. I said this yesterday in the video, but I have that dream of Dybala lifting that in front of Lazio fans. He needs that first goal in a Rome derby.
I just don't want to see your ginger Lazio friend wave his flag again.
Oh.
Just I never want to see him again. Sorry, man. Sorry, Brian. I was just talking some shit. I
No,
never
no,
want to
no. He
see that dude
deserves that. He
smile
deserves
like
that. That guy cannot smile. That over the past two
yeah.
years, I had to suffer. I was the victim of his harassment every
I've
single
only seen
time.
him. I've only seen him like 4 times in my life, and I'm sick of him. So
he's
so so yeah,
terrible.
I don't want to see that. There's a lot of small things I don't want to see. Pedro scoring, your friend smile, all those things. But yeah, it's just it's about time. You know, we need to reassert our dominance in the derby because these Lazio fans are getting a little bit uppity. They're getting a
Yeah.
little too. They're forgetting the past. They're forgetting the history, and they're pretending like they have a winning record in the derby. So we just need to remind them of their place.
Yeah, yeah. We need to just, yeah, we have to switch their mentality down.
Like the little brother that you let win a few times because he's starting to get pissed, and then he wins, and he starts talking shit. Like that's what you need to just dominate him one more time, and then just put him right back down to size. So that's what we're talking about. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, what can we add? It's gonna be our stadium, sold out stadium, red stadium. I'm expecting a good old banner. Any predictions on the banner? Like the display?
oh man, yeah, I can't even. I haven't been there. So what's your prediction? I'm not used to the atmosphere.
Um, Look, there's one thing that I'm gonna give Lazio fans. I will get a lot of hate if Roma fans. I mean, Roma fans are gonna watch this. And there's one thing that I'm gonna give them over these past 2 years: better displays. Overall, in the history, we've been better than them. But in these past seasons, I think Lazio had the best displays. I just feel like the problem with us is that over these past few seasons, the last derby is an exception because it was like the first Roman team to play. But apart from that, we tend to always put the wolf and then the yellow flags, the red flags, and then something written on the bottom. I want something new. I want something that can scare Lazio fans and motivate Roma players. Something
Yeah,
like
something to
DDR.
rattle them, to talk some shit that rattles them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
because usually it's like, oh, you know, support for DDR, support for Pellegrini, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We need some like a reassertion of dominance type of thing. You know, like some shit talking. So yeah, that's what I want to see. But
I
yeah,
mean,
man.
like,
I
I'll give
mean,
you an example.
okay.
I was this weekend. I was in France, and I was at the stadium watching Marseille against PSG, which is like the biggest rivalry in France. And Marseille fans are like very, very, very like aggressive, but also like very passionate. And when the players stepped up on the pitch, the stand of the ultras of Olympique Marseille, they blew up like 20 different fireworks, and then they created like this massive smoke, pyro smoke, that the game had to be suspended for the first 10 minutes. And then on the other side, they put this Champions League banner. PSG is never gonna win the champion. It's just something that scares PSG players, you know. And I look, at the end of the day, they ended up winning the game, but that's just because PSG are miles better than Marseille. We are better than Lazio, and this narrative of Lazio better than us, the team being better than us, is crap. We need to get back on that throne because we need to.
They do have, don't they have a starting defender, and Providel is out, right? So
Yeah, and also Zaccagni is in doubt.
okay. Oh, so he's out for sure. Okay. So and then we don't have anybody out, right?
Yeah.
Except for Asmoon.
Asmoon and also Ndika because of a yellow card.
Red card. Or yeah, yellow card. Damn it. Okay.
That's
All right. Well,
bad.
yeah, yeah. Because if Huchin messes up again, then he's gonna fans aren't gonna forgive it.
I think Llorente is gonna start.
You think
Llorente
that that
Mancini.
that's I mean that's also can be he's also a coin flip. That's a liability. So
Would you start Smalling?
no, not yet. Not yet. I'm
Mm.
nervous about Smalling, you know, but considering Tammy scored two in our 3-0 win, I do want Tammy to get 10 minutes, and I don't want Bowie to start. I think he needs to sit on the bench and learn some more again. We need to go. We need to just go back to our normal. Who? What? Wait. First off, did we go through? Do we have time to go through who we want to see, or do you
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
go?
sure. 10 minutes and 10 minutes is fine. I have to go to the dentist, Lance. Sorry about this, but yeah,
Well,
10 minutes is
fullbacks.
good.
Fullbacks. Who do you want to see?
Not Korstop. I want to see Chilik, and I want to see Spinazzola.
Really? Okay. Because Angelino had, I mean, he had a decent game the other day, and so it's just whether or not you want him to keep going with that rhythm. But then again, Spina has played, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
at
I'd
10
rather
darbies or
Spino.
whatever. So yeah, I get that. I get that. It's just Angelino. He just has that touch of creativity that
Yeah, he
can make
does.
the difference, and it's just a coin flip with Spina. But yeah, in the end, I agree. And then in midfield, obviously, I want to see Paredes and Cristante. Um, but do you think, are we playing? Do you think we'll play a 4-3-3 or play the? Uh,
I think we're gonna copy the formation and also the way we play, like we did against Brighton. Like kill them from minute 1 to minute 80, and then in the last 10 minutes take a bit of a rest. The formation that started against Brighton, in my opinion, is gonna start on
what,
Saturday.
what formation was that?
That was I'm gonna quickly confirm it with Google. Roma Brighton 4-0. That was a 4-3-3.
Okay, so who else do we want other than Cristante and Paredes in the middle?
Pellegrini, and then El Shaarawy, Lukaku, Dybala up front.
Yeah, with Pellegrini making the runs forward. Yeah,
That's what
no
I
brainer.
want. Bove, you actually put something very interesting about Bove because I see a very different player. I don't know why, but I've got this nightmare that wherever Mourinho is gonna go next, the first signing he will ask for is Bove, because there's Mourinho and Bove left this love relationship.
And he's
I
also
hope
great.
not.
He's that's why he was very strong was in the counter-attacking, defending Mourinho style of football.
Exactly.
He doesn't do very well with possession, which is kind of crazy because at the beginning of the season he was good. He was always pressing forward, finding space, finding Lukaku, and it was almost like since the more we've gotten settled into an attacking style of football, the more he's kind of digressed. And I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. Maybe he just thrives in that defensive style, or maybe he's just nervous because he got demoted. Essentially, he had earned himself a guaranteed starting spot against for Jose, by I guess game 3 or 4 or whatever. And so yeah, maybe it was the demotion that messed with him, but yeah, he's definitely in a weaker spell. So, but I'm kind of the person that says don't bench somebody for their weaker spell, give them some more minutes. I'm not saying start him, but he should definitely get some minutes at the end of the game if we're doing okay because you let somebody sit on the bench after a bad game that just it soaks in.
Yeah, it is.
That's the balance of that. So I definitely want to see him get minutes, especially because he's a hustler. So putting him on in the 75th minute or whatever while legs are tired will be great. But yeah, your formation is solid.
Right, I mean, tend it off. I hate asking this. It's the only game I hate asking this. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. Predictions.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's going to be. I think it's going to be 2-0. CVR is going to shut him down. So I think we're going to get a goal. I think it's going to be. I think Lukaku is going to be shut down. They're gonna be all over his ass, and then that's going to leave a lot of room for Dybala and Pellegrini. So I think those are the two that are going to score.
I would love
Um,
that. I would love that.
yeah. But I do think Lukaku will be pocketed again the same way that he was against Lecce. They kept one
Mm,
center back behind him, one center back in front of him, and since he's not very mobile and not very good on the ball, you shut down just his reception of the ball. You shut him down. So I think
yeah.
the memo's out on how to at least limit him, and then it's not until they have to like start pulling people away to cover Dybala, to cover Pellegrini, and even sometimes when Cristante makes those forward runs, that's going to be the only thing that's going to free up Lukaku. So, but I do see him getting shut down.
I do too. Unfortunately. Right, it
Yeah,
was a pleasure, mate.
but
Enjoy
yeah,
the game
thanks
on
for having me.
Saturday.
Yeah, you
Don't
too. I
forget to hit
want
the
to hear. You
like.
should better not have a voice. You better not have a voice when you do your match reaction. It better be completely gone, and you should be whispering that entire thing. So that's how we
Bet.
go. Yeah. All right,
Um,
man.
yeah. Talk to you
Have a
soon,
good one.
and everybody
Thanks for
enjoy the
having me.
game, and catch you tomorrow for the match preview. Bye bye.
Bye.